You know what's another a big case of very bad science is monster movies, and in particular giant monster movies such as
Oh,
Godzilla.
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 Godzilla, as well as what's that? A Cloverfield.
I haven't seen Cloverfield, but yeah, it's supposed to be something that's evolved to live at depth and then gets mutated by toxic waste, and that
Well,
is
they never really.
Yes, I was going to mention that. Thank you, Tills. And I want to talk about, I think it's called Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus.
Is that
Which we'll have to come on to in a minute, which is just laughable. The giant shark eats the Golden Gate Bridge.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Fumble in Cloverfield, they never explained what the monster actually was.
fair enough.
Anyway,
Did they like imply it was a baby or something?
No, not really. But anyways, the thing about about most giant monster movies is that people, for some reason, believe in most giant monster movies that you can supersize anything and make it a monster.
Yeah.
Physics does not allow that, though. That's why whenever I hate to always go back to our creationist friends, but whenever Nephilim 3 says that, oh, the Nephilim were just supersized people, I'm like, that's not physically possible.
If
they
were
break their legs under their own weight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
if you want to put some numbers to it, if you double the dimensions of an organism, the cross-sectional area of their bones will quadruple, but the entire mass of the organism will octuple. So you've actually got twice as much weight for the same area of bone. So yeah, essentially their bones will break after a certain size.
Yeah,
that's why extremely tall and very large people tend to have a harder or tend to have a lot more lower leg injuries, such as that pussy Yao Ming who always gets hurt.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say the one thing that you can say about Godzilla is they did start off from the point of view that the guy was investigating what radiation was doing to the life forms or the organisms around Chernobyl, and he was saying that there was a small size increase, which was the science wibbly woo or hand wavy magic bit to explain why Godzilla was so freaking huge.
So we did decide that they're making. So we're going to talk about the American Godzilla, not the shitty Japanese slowing Godzilla.
We could talk about Godzilla and Gonzuki because I like that cartoon.
Japanese Godzilla's better.
I personally love. I don't know why people shit so much on the American Godzilla movie. I personally fucking loved it.
It was a good romp. They didn't actually try and make it too much of a big thing over the bad science. It's a case of here's some science, slightly exaggerated. We're going to have a storyline for this monster invading New York. I don't mind that sort of film where they don't get too into the science behind it, and so you can nod the fact that they've tried to explain it, but that's about all they've gone, and we can now turn our brains off and have a bit of a romp.
Well, the Japanese Godzilla was about nuclear fallout and nuclear war, and Godzilla was symbolic of the nukes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Of all the people in the world who should make movies about getting nuked on, it should be the Japanese. That is a tad insensitive, isn't it?
Possibly.
Well, that's the reason why he did it. It was his adaptation of the 2 nuclear bombs going off. And it was meant to show the destruction and how it can destroy lives and stuff like that. But it did so well that they hoarded it out into a giant series and turned it into a giant monster movie, and it's awesome.
Well, the one science fiction movie that I think tried to stay the most credible was 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I like that. I haven't seen it for a while, but I like that. I read the books as
well. For example, whenever all the scenes that are in outer space, it's completely quiet because there's no sound in a vacuum.
But they do move in slow motion.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say is they do whore out the slow motion movement. But it's not too bad. I mean, they had, in terms of moving the spacecraft, they had a limitation on the technology at the time.
Yeah, it was made. When was that movie made? Like in the 70s or some shit?
Yeah. I mean, if anyone's like those films, I really would recommend reading the books. And I don't mean just the book 2001, 2011. Or was it 2010 or whatever?
It's funny that people actually thought that back in the 30s, they thought that in 2001 we would be doing shit like this. And that movie's like, oh, we were completely wrong.
1961. But I would really suggest reading the books, not just the 2 that were made into films, but all 4. The 4th one, particularly when it got to obviously 2001, and we were at the point in time of the first book, and Arthur C. Clarke, before he died, decided to extend it, so it's 3001, and it is a good read.
Wow. Actually, apparently, 2001: A Space Odyssey was made in 1961.
That was the book.
Oh, never
There is
mind.
this thing called books. They're made of paper. You turn the pages. It's a bit like
This isn't
leveling
about
up.
books, Womble. Did you not read the script before the show?
It's
It's a
about movies.
Books are so barbaric.
You know, every time someone complains to me that,
There-
oh, the book, whenever there's a book that's turned into a movie, whenever someone complains to me that, oh, the book was so much better, I tell them, you know what I liked about the movie? No reading.
See, I think it swings and roundabouts, because some films or some books, when they're converted into film, it gives you that visual dimension. It's like with Lord of the Rings. They went and used a lot of New Zealand, lots of different things, and they could give you a real scope and dynamic about what was going on. And because Jackson was a fan and he involved lots of fans in making the film, he was true to the story, even though he obviously made some changes to it. So that was good. But then, as you say, there's some books where you look at the film and it's like, what? It's like, I can't remember which one of the Harry Potters. It's the one with Dumbledore's
them?
army and Professor
Or was it the Order
Umbridge.
of the Phoenix, I think.
Yeah, and it was
Order of the Penises.
Yes.
Yes.
And there was just too much
Just had to
jumping
go.
between this kind of set pieces in the story. There wasn't that much linking, and that's when I think sometimes it can drop down.
Actually, another movie that actually I think did a pretty good job of keeping doing a pretty good job of staying true to science was a movie that a lot of people shit talk, and that was the movie Red Planet. And I don't know if any of you guys saw that movie.
I've
No.
seen it. If you mention it to Andromeda's Wake of the League of Reason, he will be hunting you down to
Why?
sacrifice you ritually.
Why?
It just abuses science and astronomy in general.
Well, sometimes it has a few things that.
I would say
Well,
I want to bring it back quickly to Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus.
Yes, let's do that.
I've not actually seen this film, but I've seen the trailer, which is more than enough that I'll ever need to see. From what I can gather, this giant shark and giant octopus were frozen in mid-combat at the beginning of the Ice Age. I mean, you've got to be fairly involved in the
Oh.
fighting to not notice that you're being encased in ice.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that you have ice damage to the cells and living organisms.
Yeah, and so, but anyway, after they defrost, they carry on fighting, causing a lot of kerfuffle, shall we say, for humans. And they say there was one scene where the shark tries to eat the Golden Gate Bridge because it is a big shark, and another one where the shark jumps out of the ocean and grabs a 747 type commercial airliner in mid-flight
That was a great scene.
and pulls it down.
Everything's acting all normal, then the guy looks out the window and, oh my god, shark! It sounded like you never see it coming.
Oh, this sounds like a film I must not watch.
Probably one of the
See,
funnier.
again, as I say, how can you honestly justify that as fantasy? Because that is just ridiculous by anybody's standards.
It
It's
is,
more
it
of a
is, it
funny
is
movie
completely.
than a dramatic one.